FM.
Have you ever wondered about the secret societies that have shaped the world? The organizations shrouded in mystery, the rituals and beliefs known only to a select few? In this episode, we delve into the enigmatic world of the Freemasons. Tonight, a newsworthy, 2 words, and 2 question marks.
Hi, this is Ed Locke with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. MLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, MLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
He's alive! Have you checked the children? Get out!
You have scoured the podcast world and finally found us, Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry, where we delve into all things mysterious, macabre, or out of this world, and decide if they are truly newsworthy. 2 words and 2 question marks.
Wow, Jerry, I am so proud of you, man. Wow.
Don't be proud for that.
Dude has finally put the white New Balance in the closet.
No.
He's got real shoes on today. I'm so stoked.
I screwed up and bought a pair of shoes that are not anything similar to the goat shoes, and I'm paying the price.
You're not comfortable?
Well, I mean, they're all right, but not nearly as good as New Balance. The goat shoes.
Jerry, in the new video I just shared, it has a perfect picture of you in your goat shoes.
Dude, if you're wearing shoes for the fashion look, you're doing it wrong. If you're doing it for fit and comfort, then you're wearing the goat shoes.
No, I look good when I wear shoes.
Yeah, so you think. Get that eyeglass prescription updated. And
well, let's bring our guest in and see what he has to say, because he has taste.
Oh,
Clay Davis, welcome to the show,
hello,
Clay.
Mr.
Hey,
Clay.
Jerry. Hey, Steve. Good to see you guys again.
Good to see you up and around, walking around, running marathons and stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm speechless that Jerry got rid of his goat shoes, that he's without them.
No, I didn't get rid of them. They're at home.
Okay.
He's probably got 2 or 3 that he ain't put on his feet yet.
Just 1 pair in a box at home. But I mean, when you see the goat shoes on sale, you're like, I gotta
He's
stock
got a
up.
closet. He's got a closet full of them, like Imelda Marcos, man. Just got shoes after shoes after shoes.
And they're all the same for him.
Yeah.
He could like lose a shoe and just get another one out of the closet and make a perfect match.
That reminds me of a joke. Supposedly, several years ago, I was born and raised in Monticello, Kentucky, for those who don't know. And guy was walking down the street, and he ran into the mayor. The mayor had 1 shoe on. He said, "Mr. Mayor, you lost a shoe." He said, "No, I found one." Jeez. That's a good joke right there. That's not my dad joke. Should have been. That's a good joke right there.
That's a good Monticello joke for sure.
Very good Monticello joke.
Wow. Just wow. I don't know how I'm friends with this guy, Clay.
Here's a true story. I'll even give the name. We had a sheriff for many years named Joe Kahn. This story was told to be the truth. I wasn't there. I don't know if it was true. Mr. Kahn supposedly pulled a lady over. He asked for her driver's license. He was looking at it and he said, "Ma'am, according to this, you're supposed to wear glasses." She said, "Sir, I have contacts." He said, "Ma'am, I don't give a crap who you know. You're supposed to wear glasses." That was told to be a true story from Mr. Joe Kahn that's probably passed away now. He was the sheriff when I was probably 14, 15, 16 years ago, old. And that was 42, 43 years ago. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
crazy.
Really?
Woo-wee.
How's your all's week?
Man, my week's been so busy. I'm just delighted because we do so many things and I'm healthy enough to be able to do the things that we do. I've been very busy as a realtor, very busy at my other job, and very busy on the podcast.
Good. Good.
Before we get too far into it, I want to announce something.
What's that?
So we have minimally, how you say that word? Minimally. There we go. I got it. We kind of just put it off in passing that you can now, as a listener, can support Newsworthy with Steve and Jerry. We've had some success with that, but we want to up the ante a bit. Now, there's like 2 or 3 different levels you can come in on: 99 cents, $5, $10, or the 2 million like Brett would like. But for the first person from today on who contributes to that, any level, we don't care. We're going to give you an Easton Hawk print. It's an original. I guess it's not an original if it's a print, but it is an original print and very frameable. Looks amazing.
He's
we'll
an
even let
awesome
you have a
artist.
choice. But yeah, we just want to push that along, get that out there a little bit. So amazing stuff. If you were the first person to go in and help us help you, then we are going to make it worth your while. So anyway, those things
Sounds
go
great.
for $25 a piece.
Yep.
on his website
Yep.
on Etsy. So yeah, it's worth it to do it. So do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Woo!
I had a busy week too.
You did.
I had to take my son to the ER. He swallowed a toy train.
The whole
Oh.
train?
A toy train, yeah. Doctor said he bit off more than he could chew chew. Yeah.
Clay, please help me.
Ah,
Please help me.
Please help you get to my level of dad jokes. Yeah, that's a hopeless cause.
Please help me.
I'll rescue
Hopeless
you about.
cause.
I tell you about my week, man, where I've had so much free time, where I've kind of been recovering from my hip surgery and everything. I'm up and about, as you were talking about. I've kind of been puttering around the kitchen a little bit, doing a little cooking, this, that, and the other, man. And I got a hankering the other day for some gumbo. Now I know, Stephen, you're kind of a picky eater. I don't know if you've ever had gumbo, if you like it. Now Jerry's
I'll make
a
some
little
mean
more
gumbo.
adventurous than you are, so I'm betting that Jerry maybe has had some gumbo. I don't know. Have you guys had gumbo?
I made a
Yeah.
big pot and brought it over to Steve's house one night when we were doing the murder mystery. Did you try my gumbo?
I did.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's all right.
Well, I got to making mine, and I only had okra and sausage, and it wasn't bad, and it wasn't good. It was just mediocre.
Mediocre. I gotcha. I see what you did there. Uh-huh. Mediocre.
Wow.
I like it.
Wow. That's
A
all I
little
can say.
Cajun added to it.
Jeez. I thought I was having a bad week. My goodness, y'all's weeks have been worse. Robin got so mad at me the other day.
Robin, did your wife?
Yes. Gosh, it was terrible.
Why is that?
She said, I am so mad at you. Almost kicked me out. She said I was too un-American. I saw that coming a kilometer away.
That's sad.
That was good. You know
Just
you liked it. Don't lie.
Terrible.
Just sad.
Terrible. Throw a yellow flag, man. That's a penalty.
And it wasn't like I was driving on the wrong side of the street or anything.
That joke was almost as bad as your former NFL favorite team, the Chicago Bears.
Man, they have no offensive line.
None. They got no quarterback. They got nothing, dude. They're terrible. They're terrible.
Well, I mean, they're terrible. The Titans are terrible.
Washington's terrible.
Washington's terrible. I mean, the I don't even think that the salary cap can outlive bad ownership and bad GMs and bad decisions.
Lack of quality coaching in the league. There's no, like, when we were coming up, man, the league was full of
Yeah,
really good to legendary coaches,
yeah.
and not all of them were very good, but a lot of them were. And there's just one or two in the league now that are noteworthy or remarkable, and the rest of them are all young and up and comers. And no knocking on them, they haven't earned their way yet, but it's just a bad time for coaching in the league, man. It's not good.
And a good example of what you're talking about, Clay, is the Chargers.
Yeah.
Last year, terrible. You
Yeah.
know, just couldn't beat their way out of a wet paper bag. You bring in a good quality NFL caliber coach, and they're 2-0 starting the season.
Yep.
You know, I mean, and
Culture
look like a team ready to play. They didn't change a lot of the pieces. They changed some of the pieces, but the core's still there.
Yeah.
You know, they got younger, but you know, that's just a good example. The good teams all have good quote. You know, the Chargers or not the Chargers, the Chiefs. Yeah, people gonna complain all the day about the level of penalties or whatever against the Bengals last week. They were out coached. Bottom line.
Yep.
You know, even Joe Burrow tried his absolute best to calm Jamar Chase down. What Jamar Chase do? Cost him 15. It probably cost him the game, to be honest.
Good hat. Yep.
I mean, just crazy. I really
Anyway,
hate
I didn't mean to
Tua
go off on a sports tangent like that.
No, it's fine. It's
I
our
sucked
show.
you
We
right,
can talk about whatever we
right
want.
in, though. Sucked you right in.
Yeah, it's easy to do. Tua, I can't even say his name. Tua from Miami. I hope he makes the right life decision.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
this is his third known concussion, and this one's a bad one from all indications that I see. I hope he makes the neurosurgeons and the neuro people that he talks to convinces him that it's time to hang it up.
Well, and that rigor mortis that he goes into every time is a treacherous sign that these are not good concussions. Not any concussion is good, but these are particularly bad.
Yeah. I hope that he finds the way to understand that life is more than football.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got several $1 million in the bank. He's got he's a good looking kid. He's no reason he can't make money.
And Andrew Luck walked away.
Yeah.
And lived to fight another day. Barry Sanders did the same thing. Left at the peak of his career. It's just, you know, take care of yourself, man.
You have nobody else is going to. These owners will literally ride you until you are nothing.
Oh yeah, sure.
Anywho,
Clay was talking about gumbo earlier. What's your favorite Lexington Cajun Creole restaurant?
We used to have a place. Man, what was that place called? Back in the day, that I used to love. They had like the best etouffee. But yeah, they're. I guess the one that shit now it evades me. The one that everybody goes to downtown. They're getting ready to relocate, I think, or open up a new location.
Downtown, is it Bourbon and Toulouse?
Yes, Bourbon
I
and
love
Toulouse.
that place. I love that place.
I can't believe I evaded my mind. That's a delightful restaurant.
Little dump, little hole in the wall. It looks like been there forever. Ain't nothing there that's newer than 20 years old.
Yeah.
And some awesome friggin' Cajun food.
It's really good. Really. And generous.
Yes.
Very generous with the portions.
Well, they can be because Cajun food is all beans and rice. I mean, you know, it's cheap stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I cook it a lot. I make pretty mean red beans and rice. It's pretty good. I like it. So we got a wonderful topic today
that we should probably get to.
At
sometime or another tonight.
Quite frankly, we have had many people request this. So we couldn't think of a better person to bring on the show while we talk about the Masonic Lodge of the Freemasons. Does I say that right? Did I say that
Probably
right?
not.
Probably not.
Didn't sound right.
There's neither does
Masonic?
huh?
The
How did
free
you say the word?
Masonic,
Yeah,
free,
that word.
yeah,
Masonic?
Freemasonic
Okay,
Lodge. Yeah.
there you go. We can't think of a better person to have one except you, Clay.
Yeah.
Who is a Freemason himself for what, 15, 18 years?
I joined the lodge 15 years ago. I'm no longer a practicing Mason, but I guess you could consider me a Mason in my heart. Is probably what you would probably regard me as now. I still have very fond thoughts and good memories, and I'm still have a positive outlook on my time in Freemasonry, and I learned a lot, and be
Good.
glad to talk about it with everybody tonight.
So it's not like the Illuminati. Then once you're in, right? You can't leave, so you can freely leave the Freemasons.
Oh, you
Yeah,
hadn't heard? The
absolutely.
Illuminati's
Yeah.
a division of Freemasons. Sorry, Clay.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely free to come and go as you please. Guys do that for any number of reasons. Sometimes financial, sometimes they just grow tired of it and find something else to do. Sometimes their commitment level maybe not was not up to par with what they thought they were getting involved with. It's a serious undertaking. It's not something to be taken lightly when you knock on the door of a lodge. So.
Let's go back and spend just a minute for the people who might not be very familiar with it. The Freemasons is the oldest fraternal organization in the world. It dates back to the Middle Ages of Europe. It originally was started as a guild of skill builders. And Freemasonry today is fundamentally a self improvement volunteer association that teaches and practices moral, intellectual, and spiritual lessons through 3 different initiation ceremonies. Their 3 degrees are modeled after the craftsman's progress that their name comes from: the apprentice, the fellow craft, and the master mason. Um, Freemasonry was and remains open to all men of good reputation who possess a belief in deity, referred to in the lodge as the supreme architect of the universe and in the immortality of the soul. So, is that a fair description of the group, Clay?
It's very good, actually. It's a that would have served as a great elevator pitch if you were trying to convince somebody that they might want to consider joining the lodge, or if somebody
For,
came up and asked you.
for
Um,
people who might wonder, how reputable is this group? And if you want to go back to the beginning of America, a few of the early American Freemasons include Benjamin Franklin, James Otis, Paul Revere, and George Washington. So we're not talking about a bunch of unknown people. Some of the most well known Americans ever have been and were Freemasons.
yeah, I think 7 or 8 of the signers of the Declaration of Independence
Yep.
were also Paul Revere.
So, tell us a little bit about the Masonry, Clay. Just give us an additional history to what Jerry said.
Um, what Jerry was saying is pretty accurate. It started off as when you look back in the medieval times when the stonemasons were constructing all these wonderful cathedrals, castles, all these wonderful architectural buildings. There was a certain method to it that they protected. It was a well kept secret on how to build these buildings, and they didn't want that getting out. So there was a lot of secrecy within a stonemasons guild, and those guys ended up possessing quite a bit of power just because they were the only ones who had this knowledge. And if wealthy, well-to-do people wanted to have their buildings done, they had to get these stonemasons, and in order to prove if there was a big job that came on, there would be masons that would converge on an area to get the work. They would travel long distances, and the master builder would have to be able to confirm that you were indeed qualified to be there. And there were certain secrets that they had possession of, and if you knew those secrets, then that was pretty much your bona fides to be on the job site. And at one point, where it was more of a craftsman's kind of a guild during the Enlightenment years, you saw this kind of a convergence of the aristocracy kind of moving in and adopting the same types of traditions that the stonemasons were keeping, and it was more of a I guess a philosophical way of practicing instead of an actual physical way of doing things. But there's a lot of people out there who have misconceptions about Freemasonry. One of the catchphrases that you'll hear people say when they're promoting Freemasonry is that it takes good men and makes them better. There's a lot of moral lessons that are taught through symbols and through allegory. And my time there, we spent a lot of time talking about history. We spent a lot of time talking about esoteric stuff. We spent a lot of time talking about religious stuff, even though it's forbidden to talk about religion inside a lodge room. One of the reasons that is because religion can be a divisive topic. And when we would meet together as brothers in a lodge, we didn't want anything coming in from the outside that was going to cause division, because we were there for a different purpose. We were there to come together as men, make ourselves better, excuse me, learn a little bit, and also do a lot of things to help our community. So things like politics and religion were forbidden to be discussed inside a lodge room.
So, Clay, let me interrupt you just for a second. You said a good quote there. It takes good men and makes them better.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about some of the good men that were Masons.
A lot of
Buzz
people,
Aldrin,
a lot of people's favorite uncle or grandfather. We'll start there, and then you can go down the list of celebrities.
Yeah, Buzz Aldrin, second man on the moon. George Washington, the very first president of the United States. James Monroe, founding father and fifth president of the United States. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, perhaps the most famous composer in history. Duke Ellington, a famed jazz musician. Benjamin Franklin, a noted inventor and founding father. Winston Churchill, the English prime minister during World War II. Voltaire, a French philosopher, and Edward VII, the King of England. That's a
Harry
pretty
Houdini.
That's a pretty good company you're in there, Clay.
Harry Houdini. I don't know. Did you mention President Truman?
No.
President Truman was Freemason, and he often would sneak off and evade his security detail to go attend lodge. A lot of times they wouldn't be able to find him, and they'd have to go down to the lodge, and there he was. Or he served as the master of his lodge. So he would go down and conduct the meetings.
Weird. That's pretty awesome.
Very.
I am blown away by all of the conspiracy theories, though. And Jerry, I know you've got a bunch of those.
Couple.
So why don't we talk about those? And Clay, you just kind of shoot them down as we send them your way. How's that sound?
I'll do my best from a real perspective. Because a lot of the things online are laughable and pretty far fetched.
Yeah.
Before I get into that, I would like to mention that there are also several subset groups that draw their membership from the higher degrees of the Masons.
Really?
An example is the ancient Arabic order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, who are better known as
the Shriners.
The Shriners.
I was going to say that 3 times fast.
The Knights Templars, another example. In addition, female relatives of Master Masons may join the Order of the Eastern Star, which is open to both men and women. Conspiracy theories. 3 main groups: political, religion, and others.
And
Well,
two of those, Clay's already said they don't even talk about in the lodge.
but they do. He mentioned that they'll spend time. The reason is exactly what he said from what I read. They try to make sure to leave out anything that would cause division. But as he also said, they do spend time talking about some religion,
Mm-hmm.
political. Many believe that Masons attempt, and in some cases actually do, control government. Some think that the Freemasons and the Illuminati are attempting to have universal control of society. So, Mr. Freemason, is that your all's real intent?
I can tell you this. I served as an officer in two different lodges, Hart Lodge in Nicholasville and Lexington Lodge number 1 in
Okay.
Lexington, which was the very first Masonic Lodge in Kentucky. They take their Masonry very seriously there. They're what's considered a traditional observance lodge. They're a coat and tie lodge, and they have a very specific way of keeping the traditions of Freemasonry alive. And when one of my duties at Hart Lodge was as a senior steward, which meant I was in charge of preparing the meals for the lodge meetings and coordinating all that. And I can tell you that for an organization that is supposedly supposed to be hell bent on world domination, we had a hard time deciding who was going to wash the dishes after the meeting, and that was a serious thing. I mean, so I don't know. There is absolutely nothing I saw from my time in Freemasonry that would suggest that there's any ambitions at all. Now, there may be some organizations out there that do have those kinds of ambitions, but Freemasonry is not one of them.
Yeah.
I can say that from firsthand experience.
Knowing how people tend to be envious of successful people, I think back to the people that you mentioned and Steve mentioned. I think sometimes people will just look at the number of influential presidents, or Benjamin Franklin and Paul Revere weren't presidents, but very influential people during the Revolution time period. I'm sure that alone was the basis for some people saying they're trying to take over, just because there are some that are powerful.
Well, anytime you hold secrets, people are going to start
Sure.
filling in the blanks for themselves.
Absolutely.
And the cooler, the more interesting they can make it, the better and the longer the secret goes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
and one
what was
thing
your
I
next
do
one?
want to clarify from earlier when I was saying that we'll discuss or learn about religion or things like that. We may do that in side groups,
Right.
or we may do that in the dining hall while we're breaking bread and having a meal, or we may even call a special meeting and meet as an educational type of conference. But
Right.
while we're actually meeting in a lodge for the purpose of a free Masonic meeting, which are publicly posted, you can go to any lodge website and they'll tell you when they're having their meetings. It's not like any big secret. We avoid any discussion of religion and politics while we're inside actually doing the work of Freemasonry.
Makes sense. I mean, you get people in one church together on Bible study night, and there will be sometimes serious disagreements in that one church. Can you imagine if you had people from 6, 7, 8 different denominations or religions? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next conspiracy theory. This is a good one. Freemasonry is a Jewish front for world domination, or is at least controlled by Jews for this goal. Adolf Hitler believed that Freemasonry was a tool of Jewish influence and outlawed Freemasonry and persecuted Freemasons partially for this reason. So, what would you say to that?
My first bullet out of the gun would be, we're going to trust Adolf Hitler's perception of
Fair
very
point.
reliable.
Fair point.
That's very reliable. I would really, I would follow that person anywhere. Anyone who would believe that, I would follow that person to the end of the earth. Is what I would do.
I have an add-on, and they are almost as reliable a source as Adolf Hitler. The Covenant of the Palestinian Islamist movement, Hamas, claims that Freemasonry is a secret society founded as part of a Zionist plot to control the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, put it together, Hamas and Adolf Hitler.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very reliable sources.
Exactly.
What about, and I just got a couple of really off the wall ones
Sure.
I want to throw in there that I know Jerry looked at and said, nope, I'm not covering that. So I will. What about the fact that the Freemasons control NASA and protect the secret that in order to hide that the earth is flat?
Well, yeah. You're taking this out of order. We're doing political first, so that's later.
Man,
But
you weren't going to cover that anyway, were you?
I've got it on here.
Oh, really?
Freemasons at NASA and other space agencies deceive the public to hide the fact that the Earth is flat. Oh, Clay, did you hear our episode 2 or 3 weeks ago? We have determined actually that the world is flat. The world is like what, 90% water, and
93, I think.
93% water. It's all uncarbonated, so it's obviously
It's flat. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Here on Newsworthy, we proved the
Well,
the
you
Earth
know,
is flat.
I needed some hard evidence, and as we've discussed previously, and I hadn't found it until just now. So that's okay. I'm gonna have to rethink everything now. Thanks.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I won't go out of attorney again. What's your next one?
That concluded political, religious claims, and these are where to me it really gets crazy. Not like the others weren't, but there are a number of claims predominantly made by conservative Protestants that Freemasons at higher degrees deceive those at lower degrees and gradually reveal a separate occultic religion. Basically saying that they're devil worshippers from a group of people who requires you to believe in a higher power to be a member. No, they don't say exactly what.
Yeah, you don't have to believe in any particular deity. You
Right.
just have to believe that there is one true deity. It can be the deity of your choice. Now that that would preclude somebody who would adhere to Norse mythology and pray to
Right.
Odin or whatever would not be allowed to be a Freemason because they're subscribing to a multi deity belief system. So as long as you have one belief or a belief in a singular God, you're qualified as long as you're also a good and upright person. As far as there being this inner and outer circle of Freemasonry, um, a, lo- a lot of the good works and charity that happen from Freemasonry happen from that higher level because a lot of those guys are pretty well off people and they're able to raise a lot more money because they have larger circles of contacts and things like that. So I could see where maybe, people would think that there is something going on there, but anyone if you were to visit the House of the Temple in Washington, D.C., it's also public. You can walk in and go take a tour if you'd like. It becomes very clear that it's a very educational facility. There's a lot of a huge library. There's artwork. There's historical displays about the history of Freemasonry. For instance, we just recently had a Friday the 13th. Most viewers wouldn't know that that's a free Masonic holiday. The leader of the Knights Templar was put to death. Jacques de Molay was put to death on Friday the 13th when they went and round up all the other Knights Templar on that very same day, and it was declared to be a bad luck day. And it's stuck with us. That's a part of Masonic history. There's so much about Freemasonry that's woven into our culture. If you've ever been hoodwinked is a Masonic term. When we,
Really?
yeah, you're brought into the lodge, you're hoodwinked. There's just a lot of different things as you kind of go along and you start studying and finding out about Freemasonry. It's been a huge part of American culture for a long time, a very long time.
Clay, you brought up the Knights Templar. What do you think about Timothy Hogan?
I've met him.
Really?
Yeah,
How did that go?
I'm friends with him actually on Facebook and everything. He's a interesting guy. Some of his stuff, he's very esoteric. He's very spiritual. He knows a lot about alchemy and things like that. He gets a little far out for me sometimes. I have to really kind of take what he says and really chew on it a lot sometimes because I don't know. He's a really cool dude. He's very interesting. I don't know that I buy everything he says, but I do buy that he believes it. So,
Right. And that means a lot,
yeah.
I get the impression that, first of all, I would love the opportunity to have Timothy Hogan come on our program and talk.
Yeah.
That being said, I think Timothy in the interviews, and I've heard him interviewed by 100 different people, probably not quite 100, but he's been on a lot of the same type program.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's one of those guys that read the room very well.
Oh yeah.
And if you were a part of Gaia, for example, he's going to lean much more into the extreme stuff, the stuff that's way out there. Whereas if he's on a History Channel interview, it's much more fact and much more of this, check this box, check this box.
Yeah.
That was my impression of Timothy. I just thought
that's pretty accurate. He can adapt very well to his audience. That is very accurate.
cool. Well, didn't mean to interrupt you. I just
Oh no.
I very much
I am beyond impressed that you know who Timothy Hogan is, bro.
I had zero clue.
Well, he's one of the last remaining, according to him, Knights of the Templar. He's like the leader of the Knights of the Templar. So, and I really, really like watching him be interviewed. So I dig his stuff a lot, but I think that I'm like you. I just think that he's very political in the sense that he reads the room very well.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Yeah.
Like as an example, one of the things that he believes and he'll tell you is that there's not one arc of the government, but there are at least 4 arcs of the covenant. Hey, having a hard time talking tonight, Sutter home. But I a brilliant guy. Love to hear him talk. One of the biggest things about people who do a lot of interviews, a lot of times they start talking just to hear themselves talk. And I never get the feeling that he's doing that. He is delivering a message, stop, ask a question, delivers a message. You know, he's very, very easy to listen to in an interview.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Jerry, one other thing I wanted to touch on too about the higher degrees of Masonry. All those are continuing education. The most important degrees in Masonry are the first 3 degrees. And once a man attains the sublime degree of a Master Mason, which is the 3rd degree,
right,
there is no higher degree than that. I attained the Master Mason degree in 2010. And at that point, I became the highest degree Mason that you can be. Now, that's not to say that there isn't an enclave of people out there who have their 4th degree, 17th degree, 32nd degree, and anything in between. But
Yep.
those are all just ongoing education to say that those guys went on and discovered a little bit more about different aspects of Masonic ritual, some different ways of approaching Freemasonry. But that's pretty much, that's what those degrees are. The exception being is the 33rd degree, and it is by invitation only. But generally, that's only because of certain brothers' good works, contributions to the community, to the lodge, service to the lodge, um, basically demonstrating that he's a good husband, a good father, a good member of the community. Um, it's reserved for really, 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 really dedicated Masons. And that's the bottom line.
Gotcha.
Oh, that's interesting.
Excuse me. Very similar to what I'd read. I'd also read that the 3 levels that we're talking about, that is standard everywhere. And it said that some individual local lodges may have several different added degrees, up to hundreds, but that will be dependent upon each individual lodge, and that those are not recognized
Those are what
necessarily at other lodges.
those would be considered clandestine.
Yeah.
That they're not recognized by Grand Lodge jurisdictions, and
Yep.
each state has a jurisdiction that is under the Grand Lodge, and they had to get a charter that originated from the Grand Lodge of England at
Yep.
some point. So if a person were to go and petition a lodge for membership and there's not a charter on the wall, then it's an illegitimate lodge and they should leave. Because most of those, we would regard those as what we call a degree mill. And those people are just sucking guys in, and they're charging them money for every degree that they take. And that's not how it works. It's just not how it works. They're
Is that
trying to
very common for these fake groups
yeah,
to be out there?
it's a huge problem, it really became rampant in the '90s, became and progressively has gotten worse and worse. It's so bad. It's so fraudulent that they've actually had to get the FBI involved to investigate some of these people because they're putting themselves out there as Freemasons, and it's giving real Freemasons a bad name.
Is there somewhere one could go to find out what groups are legitimate and their contact information for those groups?
Anytime, I would recommend, if someone were interested in learning more about legitimate Freemasonry in your state, because I know you guys go out all over the world. So any given state you're in, just look up your local Grand Lodge, and once you hit their website, they're going to direct you to legitimate places. There's a list of every secretary of every lodge in every state, and they can put you in contact with any of those secretaries and reach out to those folks, and they'll be glad to meet with you.
So you don't get like it's just a black envelope in the mail that says meet here?
No, doesn't quite work like that. Now, with Freemasonry, they do require that you come of your own free will and accord. So you're rarely ever going to get, I won't say you won't, because there are some jurisdictions that think it's okay to recruit. But generally, a traditional Masonic jurisdiction is almost going to look at forbidding someone going out and asking another man if he wants to be a Mason. It has to be something that you're interested in, to the point where you come. I guess a good way to put it is, Freemasonry seeks no man. Men
Right.
will seek out Freemasonry. That's the
So
best way I could put it.
let me ask you a question, and I'm being completely serious here. It may sound like I'm not, but I really am. So in the beginning, Freemasonry, you, based on the name, you were a Mason, you were a craftsman, you were a skilled something. Is that still a qualification, Clay?
No, not we. It was amazing number of different professions that you would have in a lodge. We had anything from police officers to full-time military guys to firemen to line cooks, gas station workers, grocery store attendants, doctors, lawyers, sheriffs, uh, astronauts, scientists, teachers, economists, any number. And that was one of the most beautiful things about being in Freemasonry was you had a slice of almost every economic class, every a slice of every piece of life, and we were all intermingling, and we were all meeting on the level. And when you're in a lodge room with a group of other Masons, there's no man that is higher than another man. Everyone meets on the level, and everyone is equal, and everyone's voice is heard, and everything is worked out um, very harmoniously. It's a very cool experience.
That's all.
I've met with a lot of people that have negative outlooks on Freemasonry, and they don't necessarily understand it. And there are a lot of people out there that are very critical, and a lot of that's based on what they're told online or maybe at church or what have you. Um, I told one guy, we got into a pretty good conversation back and forth about why he thought Freemasonry was bad and why I disagreed with him. And I asked him one time, and I said, you go to church, right? And he goes, yeah, man, every Sunday. And I said, well, I've never been to your church, but I'm wondering, does your church have stained glass windows? And he said, yeah, man. He goes, we got really nice stained glass windows right there where everybody, congregation meets, and it's beautiful. And I said, well, are they prettier from the inside or are they prettier from the outside? He goes, man, when you're in there and the pastor's preaching and the sunlight's just coming through those things, they're just the most beautiful, beautiful things you ever did see from the inside of that church. And I said, well, I've never been in there, man. I said, have you ever been inside a lodge room? And he stopped and he paused for a minute and he goes, no. And I said, well, how could you ever understand the beauty of Freemasonry having never stepped foot inside a lodge room to know what you're talking about? And that's when he exited the conversation. So, but it's a cool experience. Very unique rituals. It's great for the mind because you have a lot of memory work. You got to memorize a lot of stuff. And
That's what you need, Jerry. You should be a Mason.
Wow.
So you can work that brain of yours. Then you can maybe get on my level. I'm just saying.
My brain's too small for all that memorization. One last conspiracy theory. Last one, I promise.
Right.
There is a conspiracy theory that says that some prominent murders involve Freemasons, including the cases of the Italian banker Roberto Calvi, United States President John F. Kennedy, a conspiracy theory about the death of the Turkish president Mustafa Kemal Atatürk is that he was poisoned to death by the Freemasons due to the closure of Masonic lodges in Turkey in 1935. So, is that one of your all's hobbies? Morgan?
not to my knowledge. I haven't experienced any of that myself. I do know that some of the European there there's some Freemasonry that has unfortunately fallen under some financial and political corruption, probably over in Europe, in England, and not to say that it's rampant all through and through, but I've heard and read stories about some sketchy things that have gone on. Um, that is unfortunately falls upon them as an organization to clean that up from within. And if it is drastically corrupt, then that may not happen. I have seen firsthand because nobody's perfect. I've seen some lodge business that had to be handled here in the United States when some Masons may not have been acting in a Masonic way. And a respectable lodge will keep their house clean. And I've seen that happen firsthand. I've seen bodies of Masons take care of their house and get rid of things that were going to be problems or prevent them. Hopefully, if the process works correctly and the vetting process works correctly, that person's never had given a chance to be admitted into the lodge to begin with. And by vetting, I mean there's a stringent process. You're going to get investigated before you're allowed to become a Mason. We will, I say we, it's hard not to say we, they will look into you. They will investigate, they will come visit your home, and they'll talk with your family a little bit, meet with you, ask you some questions. And then they're going to talk to some other people who know you and find out if you're worthy and well qualified to be a member of that lodge.
You're out, Jerry. They're going to wonder why you have such a handsome fella in your bed with you that's not actually there.
That big head fan. Gotcha. Clay, earlier you mentioned a statement that I've heard from several Masons over the years on the level. Is that a big Masonic saying?
It is. It's a very important saying. The level is a symbol in Freemasonry. It's also a operative masonry tool. Back in the day, they would use a
Sure.
level to make sure their work was true and level. And
Still do, I think.
they still do to this day. And it's a very important symbol in Freemasonry. And it's very important that whenever Masons meet, that they meet on the level. It's very important. And that way, everyone's welcome, and it further promotes that harmonious atmosphere where we're trying to keep negative things out and have a productive kind of meeting.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, I personally, I'm in. I think it's a great organization. Anytime you have an organization that goes back and tries to become part of the community by contributing to the community, I don't see a problem wrong. And especially if you're willing to do the bad things to clean up your own house, that to me is a huge boon. How many organizations do we see that don't do that?
Sure.
Yeah.
You should be a Mason.
Why?
So you can become a Shriner, so you can have the little purple hat and ride in the little cars.
Dude, I've got all the time in the world for that.
And help
You, I'm just saying.
you would help contribute the $1 million a day that Freemasonry contributes to charities around the world.
That's amazing.
A lot of
That's
those,
freaking amazing.
a lot of that being the countless numbers of children that are treated for no cost whatsoever through the Shriners Children's Hospital.
Listen, I will never speak ill of the Shriners. I had a little cousin. She was born preemie, had a leg issue. They did probably 20 surgeries on her leg. She is now a teenager, almost 20, walks perfectly, and
That's
that
awesome.
is 1,000,000% because of the Shriners Hospital.
That's
She
killer.
was amazing.
That is awesome.
That is all.
Yeah.
You probably remember she lived with us for a little while, Clay. It was a
Yeah,
little while
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
So,
Now that you mention it, man, yeah.
yeah, she had a lot of She had lots of surgeries. Katie Bug, not Jessica.
Yeah.
Katie Bug had lots of surgeries. All of that was done through the Shriners Hospital at no cost to her folks, and
Yeah.
it was just amazing. They did They didn't stop till she was fixed.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
My hat's off to them, man. So, in keeping with newsworthy tradition, the Freemasons. Mr. Jerry, do they need more or less news coverage?
Oh, absolutely more. Due just to the things we've talked about in the last couple of minutes, the immense amount of help that they are providing. What did you say, Clay? Over $1 million per day?
Yeah.
Huge amount of money. Yes, they need more publicity. Hopefully, that extra publicity will get even more donors so that can become even more than it already is. Thumbs up.
Absolutely. Clay,
Oh yeah, man.
kind of biased on your account, but that's okay.
Somewhat. I'm always going to have a favorable opinion of my time in the lodge and the men I met there, and I was I'm still glad to have been able to call them my brothers, and it's a interesting and cool fraternity. If you any guys out there interested in opening their minds to some different ways of looking at the world, I would highly recommend it.
Well, if that gets them closer to looking at the world like you do, I'm all in.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
I
you,
give
man.
it 2 thumbs up as well, just because I personally know how awesome the Shriners are. Any organization that donates $1 million a day to help the world be a better world is okay by me. And any amount of publicity that will help them achieve that goal, I'm all in. So 2 thumbs up for that as well.
Right on.
That was an interesting episode, but our journey isn't over yet. If you stay tuned, we have an exciting bonus story coming up after this commercial break.
Hi, this is Edlock with USA Mortgage. When it comes to buying a home, the process can be overwhelming and confusing. With so many options, it can be hard to know where to start. That's why it's important to work with a certified mortgage loan originator. I have the knowledge and expertise to guide you through the process and find the best mortgage option for you. I will work with you every step of the way to ensure that you are getting the best deal possible. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance, please reach out to me at 502-680-0953. So don't take on the stress of buying a home alone. Work with me and I will make your dream a reality. Trust the professionals and make your home buying experience a positive one. MLS ID 448908, DAS Acquisition Company, LLC, doing business as USA Mortgage, MLS ID 227262. This is not a commitment to lend. Additional terms and conditions apply. USA Mortgage is equal housing opportunity.
If you would like to share suggestions for future episodes, an intriguing ghost story, or simply tell us how much you love or hate us, please get in touch with us. You can reach us via email at newsworthywithstephencherry@gmail.com or send us a text at area code 540-709-1318.
And now, back to the story. Tonight we're going to talk about the cursed city. Did you know that in the United States there is there is a city that is considered cursed. I'll tell you the story of the mysterious Bodie in California. Bodie, a city located in the state of California, is a place that's shrouded in an aurora of mystery and superstition. Founded in the late 19th century, during the gold rush, Bodie quickly became a thriving mining center. However, as the gold rush subsided, so did the city's fortune, leaving behind a collection of abandoned buildings and disturbing legends. The Bodie Boom. The Bodie Boom began around 1876 when William S. Bodie discovered gold in the area. The city soon flourished, attracting thousands of fortune seekers and reaching a population of about 10,000 at its peak. During this period, Bodie was known for its unbridled life, with saloons and brothels and playhouses operating almost 24 hours a day. However, along with the wealth and entertainment came violence and crime. Shootings and killings are said to be so common that people began to consider Bodie as a dangerous place, and in many ways, cursed. Bodie's demise was as swift as its rise. At the beginning of the 20th century, the mines had begun to deplete, and residents began to move elsewhere in search of new opportunities. By the 1940s, Bodie was practically deserted, turned into a ghost town. This is where the creepy stories start to emerge. One of the most persistent legends is the so-called Bodie curse. It is said that anyone who dares to take an object from the city, no matter how small, will suffer a series of misfortunes until the object is returned. This belief has been backed up by numerous testimonials from visitors who claim to have experienced completely bad luck after taking away a souvenir. The state park that now manages the site regularly receives packages with stolen items and letters of repentance from people trying to break free of the alleged curse. Reports of paranormal activity also abound in Bodie. Visitors and park employees have reported sightings of ghostly figures, unexplained sounds, and sensations of being watched. The particularly notorious place is the James S. House. Kane, a prominent Bodie entrepreneur, the spirit of a woman, possibly Kane's wife, is said to circle the house, especially in the children's room. Now, despite its turbulent reputation, Bodie remains a popular tourist destination. Visitors can wander the dusty streets and explore the well-preserved buildings that offer a glimpse into the past. State park authorities, however, are making sure to preserve the city in a state of arrested decay, meaning it will stay as it is without modern restorations. Also, they recommend not stealing any of the pieces. Bodie's story is just a reminder of the ups and the downs of the gold rush and how cities can pop up and disappear in the blink of an eye. However, what truly sets Bodie apart are the legends and the mystery surrounding her, drawing in those that seeking a unique experience and perhaps an encounter with the inexplicable. Visiting Bodie is like stepping into a time capsule, a chance to feel the presence of the past, and who knows, maybe even catch a glimpse of those who never left. You can join this particular Facebook group that shared this story at Weird, Strange, and Interesting Things. And if you've taken anything from Bodie, send it back. And Jerry, if you can't see the light,
Be the light.